Hello everybody, it's Little Gypsy Woman again, and today I wanted to talk about saddling up your horse properly. Okay, because if you don't saddle up your horse the correct way, then a lot of times you can cause sores and you can cause your horse to misbehave, and you will think that your horse is actually misbehaving because he's being a jerk, when really it's because you're not really tacked up properly. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, first of all, you have to groom your horse before you tack them up, okay? So you don't have to brush them to make sure that they look pretty. You have to brush to make sure that there's no burrs or sores that are there that will become opened and irritated when you put on the saddle and it starts rubbing together, okay? So just go ahead and brush, and what I do is I rub my hand over all the spots that I brush and just make sure that they're silky and there's nothing rough anywhere. Always try to give your horse the benefit of the doubt, okay? It's so funny because this horse used to hate being brushed when he was little, and now he loves it so much. First thing is your pad. Make sure that your pad has no junk on it that's gonna make, I don't know, there's hay on this side, but this side doesn't really matter anywhere near as much as this side, because this side's gonna be on the horse. So you want to make sure that there's seriously nothing there that's going to irritate your horse, and you don't want to use a pad that looks like this, okay? See these, it's like a no slip pad, okay, but in my opinion, they're crap. I've known them to give many horses sores, so just go ahead and skip them and use a decent pad like this. And then the next thing is your saddle. Okay. Once you have your saddle on, okay, you want to check it and make sure that there's nothing that's going to be hurting the horse while you have it on it. So what we'll do is we'll take you off of here. Now what that's gonna look like, okay, is that you want to check under here, okay, make sure that there's enough air in between here so that your horse isn't getting pinched, and you want to make sure that this area is not pinching them too hard either. Okay, if it feels like it's supposed to be snug, okay, don't get me wrong, this area right here is supposed to be snug, but just make sure it's not pinching the life out of them. And then your pad, okay, this has to be with the pad. Like, make sure that your saddle doesn't go past your pad. But right here, make sure that there's a good amount, because your pad's always going to slide underneath the saddle, and it's almost never, actually I don't think I've ever seen a pad slide off the neck without the saddle. So just make sure that you have more pad in front than you do in the back. And the next thing is, when you stand behind the horse, make sure your pad is even on both sides. So the pad's right there on that side and the pad's right there on that side. It is almost pretty much perfect, the same amount. You don't want the pad way up on one side and then way low on the other side. And another thing is saddle position, okay? So when you feel your horse's withers, you're going to feel this bone right here, okay? And that's going to be his shoulder bone. And if you go underneath the pad, you can feel where the shoulder bone ends, okay? That's where you want this part to be pushing. You don't want this part to be pushing on the bone. You want it to be pushing behind the bone on the squishy area. For girth, make sure that you have a good girth that isn't all stringy and old and crappy, okay? Because girths are definitely the most sores that I've ever had a horse get due to tack reasons has been like 80% have been from the girth. So make sure you have a nice girth that's not too old and crinkled and stuff like that. Alright, I know that it's at a different angle, but my camera died, so I had to go get it, and now it's on the charger and I can't move it over there. But anyway, as I was saying, You want to make sure that the squishy part is where your saddle pressure is pushing, okay? And then when it comes to the girth, you want to make sure that the girth is even on both sides, okay? And by the way, never cinch up your horse to the max when you first cinch him up, okay? Always cinch him up just enough so that the saddle isn't going to fall off like if they spook or something. But never cinch it up as tight as you possibly can get it right away. Otherwise, you'll get a girthy horse and then they'll be bad when you try to cinch them up because they'll feel too good. So, you know, just don't do that. Then with the girth, okay, it's the same thing that it was with your pad, how your pad has to be equal on both sides, okay? It's like that with the girth. It has to be equal on both sides. If it's lopsided, like one side's way, way high and the other one's way, way down, you're gonna get girth sores because the pressure isn't working the way that the girth is designed to work. The issue is your back cinch, okay? A lot of horses don't know how to wear a back cinch, and if you just go ahead and throw one on a horse without training them first and teaching them how to do it, teaching them how to do it first or teaching them how to get used to it, then they're gonna think to themselves, yo, this feels freaky. What is this? Okay? And some horses might buck you off for it. Another thing is putting your back cinch too tight. Okay? A lot of people put it as tight as they possibly can, which you really shouldn't do. Okay? There's no cushion on a back cinch. It's not really what it's for. Okay? A back cinch is not an extra girth. A back cinch is basically insurance, and it's not a bucking strap. Alright, everybody calls this a bucking strap. It's not. It's a back cinch. A bucking strap goes back here, okay, and it tickles the horse or the bull so that when they go to buck, they kick out and then it looks fancy. Okay, so this is not a bucking strap. It's a back cinch. Your back cinch should actually be pretty loose, but not to the point where it's like hanging off of them and they can get a leg caught in it. Unless you're a horse trainer and you're trying to get them used to it and you're not really doing much but trotting around, walking around and getting the horse used to having a back cinch by there, you shouldn't be having it really super loose all the time like that. There's no point in wearing it if you're gonna do that. But a back cinch, all that it's for is so that in case your saddle goes up, it will keep it down. Okay, so if you're not doing any crazy stuff, like if your horse isn't a bronc, or if you're not going up and down hills all the time, or mountains, or if you're not doing really heavy cattle work, you know, like team penning and running around and doing slide and stops and spin. If you're not doing stuff like that, you don't necessarily have to have one, okay? But to make sure that it's equal on both sides. Everything should be equal on both sides as best as you can make it. And then there's the breast collar, okay? So the breast collar should not be... A breast collar is insurance as well. Okay, it's not designed to be massively tight on the horse so that the horse can barely move. That's not what it's for, okay? It's so that in case your saddle starts to slide back, it will keep it there and it will make it so that it doesn't slide too back so that you're riding on his kidneys and then the horse kicks up because it's uncomfortable. The breast collar, it should be low, okay? It should be pulling on the horse's chest. It should not be pulling on the horse's throat right here, and it shouldn't be so low that it's falling off of his shoulder bone. The long part should be on top of the shoulder. It should not be down here, okay? You can do it. I mean, it's not gonna hurt them, and it's not really gonna be really uncomfortable, okay? So you can get away with it if you don't. If your saddle doesn't have a ring right here, you can get away with just hooking it here. That is it. That's how you tack up your horse to make sure that there's nothing bothering him, okay? So that he can, yes, you're very beautiful. Yes, you are. that's how you tack up your horse, so that you can make sure if he's misbehaving, it's not because of your tack, okay? Now, yes, of course, there's always an exception. I mean, you'll have horses that, some horses you'll have, they'll come in with a back issue that day because they slipped and fell out in the field. So you really gotta make sure you knock out all the possibilities to why your horse is behaving before you go and correct your horse, okay? Make sure your horse is happy and comfy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.